Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today we're going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signing a list of players to their practice squad. Now the first thing I do want to say is that the practice squad was extended for this upcoming season given the way the world is right now, which meant they had 6 extra spots, and some of those spots, I believe 6 out of the 16 of them, it did not matter how long you've been in the NFL, how long of a veteran you have been, you can still be placed on the practice squad. So just keep that in mind, not just for this video, but also future videos when I talk about players being added to the practice squad. But let's get started with defensive lineman Benning Pote, an undrafted rookie free agent out of Washington. Shout out to Vita Vea and Jadon Mickens, who are also from Washington. Benning Pote was teammates with Vita Vea, so that's pretty cool. 6'3", 290 pounds, 23 years old. He definitely could be something in the future as a potential backup defensive end for this team. I know he was doing some pretty decent things in training camp and practice. Patrick O'Connor and Rakeem Nunez-Roche have those backup spots right now, but, you know, somewhere down the line, you never know. Benning Pote could be having that spot. The next player that was placed on the practice squad, Chappelle Russell, the former 6th round draft pick in this most recent draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6'2", 236 pounds, a rookie from Temple. And you know what? I was surprised that Chappelle Russell did not make this 53-man roster over a guy like Jack Sitchie. I thought that I would be saying that Jack Sitchie was on this practice squad, but you know, much like what I've been saying for a lot of these younger guys, guys like Chappelle Russell, unfortunately, were just a victim of circumstance. There wasn't enough time to show what he could do on special teams and as a backup middle linebacker, whereas Jack Sitchie already had experience playing in Todd Bowles' system and already knew the playbook way better than what Chappelle Russell could have known in this very short amount of time. So that is basically some of the reasons as to why Chappelle Russell was placed on the practice squad. The next player, Cyril Grayson, wide receiver, 5'9", 183 pounds, out of LSU. Shout out to Devin White, some of those other guys from LSU on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. But Cyril Grayson, he played for the Buccaneers a little bit last year. I believe he played in the final game of the season back when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were down to basically nobody at the wide receiver core. It was definitely a lot of injuries going on in that position group, but Cyril Grayson definitely was able to get a little bit of playing time there. Former sprinter in college, he has got some wheels on him, and I really do think that he was doing some impressive things in training camp, which is one of the reasons why they put him on the practice squad here. Next player, Dakota Dixon, safety, 5'10", 204 pounds, out of Wisconsin. Pretty surprising that, you know, he didn't make the 53-man roster. I guess I should say I could see why some people were surprised he did not make the 53-man roster, because I'm always pulled back to the quote that Bruce Arians made last season whenever he talked about how Dakota Dixon probably would have been one of the starting safeties had he not got hurt and had to be placed on the injured reserve, which when I heard Bruce Arians make that quote, it blew my mind in terms of the overall expectations that Bruce Arians had for a guy like Dakota Dixon. So while he is on the practice squad now, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up to the 53-man roster here soon, or if he gets called up to another team's 53-man roster, because it seems like he's a pretty darn solid safety. He has a nose for the ball. He can move around a lot, especially, you know, 5'10", 204 pounds. That's some pretty good size for a safety. So yeah, I definitely feel like Dakota Dixon has a pretty decent future here in the NFL. Next player is cornerback Herb Miller out of Florida Atlantic University, 6'2", 190 pounds, 22 years old. He's got some very good size. I love cornerbacks with the size of Herb Miller, being 6'2", 190 pounds. Those are my guys, okay? I love cornerbacks like that who can be very physical and very good at man coverage, and, you know, overall just have that physicality that you want, especially in a defense like Todd Bowles. So Herb Miller definitely fits the mold here for this cornerback room, and we'll just have to wait and see what he can do in practice. The next player, Javon Hagen, rookie out of Ohio University. Shout out to Joshua Allen for getting some interviews with him at the Audible on BucsReport.com. If you guys haven't seen those yet, go check those out. But 6 foot, 215 pounds, 23 years old. He was just another guy who was a victim of circumstance. The Buccaneers safety group right now is insanely deep, and Javon Hagen, you know, honestly, it was too deep of a hole to dig himself out of. You know, there were so many high-tier draft picks, and then you have Andrew Andrew Adams, who has been on the team the past couple of years now. Javon Hagen, the practice squad, definitely feels like he can, just continue to develop there and maybe do something maybe later this year or potentially even next season as well. The next player here, Jeremiah Ledbetter, 6'3", 295 pounds, out of Arkansas, 26 years old. A personal favorite of mine. I love Jeremiah Ledbetter. Was very surprised to see him get waived. He was pushing William Golston for his starting job last year, in my opinion, and he got beat out by Patrick O'Connor and Rakeem Nunez-Roche, which I guess I can understand to a certain degree. Both those guys are very good at the backup defensive line position as well, and I feel like if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wanted to have another backup defensive lineman there, Jeremiah Ledbetter would definitely be one of the first guys that they would be bringing back. But for right now, he's on the practice squad. Hopefully he can stick and have some future with the team, but I would not be surprised if he is called up to a 53-man roster here somewhere down the line. Next player, wide receiver Josh Pearson out of Jacksonville State, undrafted rookie free agent, 6'4", 205 pounds. Very, very good size. Definitely is able to get up and grab the ball due to his size. Good leaping ability, good hands. Josh Pearson, again, unfortunately was dealing with a very, very deep wide receiver core this offseason with guys like Scotty Miller, Jadon Mickens, Justin Watson going out there and having very good showings in training camp. Josh Pearson, while he was doing some very good things in training camp as well, much like in the case of a guy like Javon Hagen, it was just too deep of a hole to dig out of, unfortunately. Next player, Mazzy Wilkins, cornerback out of USF, 24 years old, 6 foot tall, 191 pounds. I know some people were definitely surprised about this, but given the training camp that Parnell Motley had, he was absolutely insane. Shout out to Rhett and Evan over at the Cannon Fire podcast for getting that one right on Parnell Motley. Mazzy Wilkins, again, just had too much competition there. And considering that MJ Stewart also got waived earlier this offseason, it seemed like anything was going to be able to go for that last cornerback spot. It was genuinely anybody's game as to who was going to be getting that spot. And Mazzy Wilkins simply got beat out by Parnell Motley in the amazing training camp that he had. But Mazzy Wilkins is still a very good cornerback, and I feel like if he doesn't sign with another team's 53-man roster, his future definitely is not over here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next player signed to the practice squad is guard Nick Levert out of Rice University, 310 pounds, 6'4", 23 years old. Hopefully he can do something here in the future. I feel like the backup guard position for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to have a lot of fluidity to it. Aaron Stinney right now is one of the backup guards. I could see Nick Levert or even another guy I'm going to be talking about here in a little bit potentially beating out Aaron Stinney somewhere down the line if he begins to struggle in practice. Nick Levert, we'll just have to wait and see what he can do. Now, I've got to make a correction on this one because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on their official website have Raymond Calais on their practice squad. That is not the case right now, as well as Reed Sinnett. Raymond Calais just signed with the Los Angeles Rams 53-man roster, so shout out to him, the most recent 7th-round draft pick made by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this past draft. And then Reed Sinnett, an undrafted rookie quarterback out of San Diego, 6'4", 225 pounds. He was just flat out released because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed quarterback Josh Rosen to the practice squad, and I already made a whole video talking about Josh Rosen. So Raymond Calais, Reed Sinnett, not on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers practice squad right now. The final, one of the last players I need to talk about here, Tanner Hudson, 6'5", 239 pounds, 25 years old, out of Southern Arkansas. He's a very good receiving tight end. Him and Ryan Griffin have made some magic in last year's preseason, and I feel like they would have done a very similar thing in this preseason as well, but we didn't have preseason games. It is what it is. But yeah, Tanner Hudson, I feel like he's very good. He simply was just dealing with the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have, arguably one of the best tight end rooms in the entire NFL. I would say the best tight end room in the entire NFL, and I would also argue that it's probably the deepest position group on the entire team. Tanner Hudson was just an unfortunate circumstance of that. Way too big of a hole to dig himself out of, but I don't think his future is done with Tampa Bay. Finally, the last two guys, Zach Sheckleford, a center out of Texas, and Zach Bailey, a guard out of South Carolina. Zach Sheckleford, 6'4", 305 pounds. Zach Bailey, 6'5", 299 pounds. Both of them 23 and 24 years old, respectively. I want to be honest, guys. I remember Zach Sheckleford at the East-West Shrine game practices, and I was not impressed at all. So I don't know what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers see in Zach Shackleford, but hopefully he has come a very long way from what he was back at the East-West Shrine game practices, and maybe he can be something for a backup center here in the future for the team. And Zach Bailey, I was pretty surprised to see him on this practice squad over a guy like Aaron Stinney. I thought Zach Bailey, given some of the comments that Bruce Arians made last offseason during this time, I definitely thought he was one of the favorites to be a backup guard for this team. He would have made this 53-man roster last year, but he was placed on the injured reserve. It was what it was, but now Zach Bailey is back on the practice squad, and I don't think he may be on there very long. He's one of those guys I feel like much like Jeremiah Ledbetter as well, could get called up relatively quickly, either for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or for another team in the NFL as well. But yeah, guys, that's it for this practice squad video. Just one more note to make. The Buccaneers did sign Josh Rosen to the practice squad, and they may be signing kicker Greg Joseph to the practice squad as well, which would just be absolutely awesome because I talked about how that could be a possibility for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signing a kicker to the practice squad. So Josh Rosen is also a part of this practice squad. Greg Joseph, I believe, is also a part of this practice squad as well. Josh Rosen, I already talked about. Greg Joseph, he's a kicker, and I think he can potentially do something for this team's kicking position should Ryan Succop begin to struggle. I went back and looked how he did. He's only been in the NFL 2 years. He only really kicked with the Cleveland Browns, but I believe he was 17 out of 20 for his field goals, which is not bad at all. So shout out to both those guys, Josh Rosen and Greg Joseph. But guys, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers practice squad down in the comments section below. Who do you like on this practice squad? Who do you not like? And who do you feel like has the best chance of being called up to the 53-man roster? Let me know your thoughts. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.